1. Welcome, everybody, to tonight's second game. This is going to be a best of one series in Division 3 Chair League. This stream title is actually incorrect. It is Arthritic Abathurs versus early Bedtime Fogeys. We are just waiting for 2 more members to join the lobby here. Then we will be good to go. The first map, or the only map, is going to be on Cursed Hollow. How do you feel about this map, Marvin?
First question is, which team chose this map? Was it Arthritic Abathurs that chose it?
No, this was a map pick by early Bedtime Fogeys.
Okay. It's interesting that this map shows up twice in Division 3, personally, because I don't like it. I still don't like it. I think it's one of the snowballiest maps out there with the double boss. Obviously, globals are very powerful. So we'll have to see what kind of strategies early Bedtime Fogeys will pull out here. Picking what I think is one of the harder maps to play, and I think even in professional play, you don't see it that often. Oh.
Huh. Interesting.
That doesn't seem intentional.
I hope not. I'm inviting some of them back.
Okay.
That's happened to me once before, where everyone just got kicked out of the lobby at the same time, and it didn't make any sense.
I feel like it's some weird syncing issue or something where it just doesn't. I don't know.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the map?
Like what you said, I am a little surprised to see it coming up here again in the same night. It's not one of the maps that I would say is our strongest, personally, for our team. We generally go with Battlefield of Eternity as our go-to third round map, and Dragonshire is also one of our big ones that we like to play. Cursed Hollow is one of the larger maps, probably the second largest behind Warhead Junction.
Now, do you think that, I think Brightwing was played last game, I didn't get to see all of it, but do you think that with the UI changes, that Brightwing got sort of a little mini buff by being able to see his team's health, and he's able to help more on a giant map like this, by being able to rotate and knowing, like, getting the information that he needs by just taking a peek at the top of his screen?
Yeah, no, I would completely agree with that. I haven't played any Brightwing since the UI changes, but it does give you a much better visual of all your team's health and knowing where you're needed.
Yeah, as long as you know where your teammates are, you can just go and rotate to them. I did notice that you can't actually click on the portraits at the top, because I tried it when I first played a game with this new patch. You can't click on them to like focus on them. You still have to find them on the minimap. So it is just pure information.
Yep. So, how do you feel about the recent tank changes in this most recent patch?
I find it interesting, first off, that tanks that generally get played a lot, even with Mirrodin's win rate being a bit low these days, like ETC and Mirrodin didn't get any changes. So obviously, even Blizzard is a bit cautious. And if you read any of like the commentary on like Reddit and stuff, there's people that are not too happy about it. But I think making tanks more niche picks makes the draft more interesting, because you know, like if a tank is considered vital to a team comp, then they're going to pick them first. But now you end up having healers and assassins pick first, because now you want to counter pick with a tank. Arthas, from what I played of him, seems to be making a comeback. See how his win rate adapts over the next week or so, but he seems to be getting a lot more playtime. I tried a Nubarek myself. I don't know if I'm just not good at the hero, but I didn't really like it. But, I mean, that was also a weird game, so we'll have to see how that goes in the future.
Yeah, I do really like what they have been doing with the Warriors, getting them, trying to specialize them tournament and niche picks, like you were saying. Having the Tyrael and a Nubarak as your main mage killer tanks, getting that spell armor, and then you have the Johanna and Arthas picking up the physical damage armor, able to be really dominant against those auto attacks. We saw that in the last game we casted, actually, having... Actually, no, we didn't. We had Johanna banned out against Zavala. Sorry, my mistake.
That was gonna be my next thing too. Johanna with the native block now is ridiculously good, and I think one potential problem that could arise from this is if Blizzard isn't careful and doesn't adjust enough heroes at the same time, you could create a situation where if a team bans out enough tanks and then goes like full auto attack, then the other team can't pick a tank that's good against auto attack anymore. So right now for auto attack, I mean, you have Murd, and that's always been the case. Johanna is really good. I guess Varian with straight taunt and just parry is amazing. And
yeah, and then the Arthas buff now, yeah. But then you still have the regular ETC that hasn't been changed at all, but he's still one of the most solid tanks out there and still highly prioritized. Probably the highest prioritized tank we have.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you end up, if it's going to end up being that tanks get chosen later in the game now, you can take a quick look over at the enemy team, be like, listen, they don't have very many stuns. Maybe they'll pick one or two up, but I'm going to go ETC now, and we're going to mosh people.
Yep. So it looks like we do have everyone in the draft, and we're ready to get into the game here. So let's go ahead and get into the draft. We do have Arthritic Abathurs as first ban and first pick. Let's see how they try to go here. What would you be looking for as the first ban and first pick here?
Well, apparently Artanis, because I'm not even going to have time to talk about it.
Apparently.
I mean, either a heavy poke hero if I'm afraid of something like that, or Ragnaros, I guess. I think Ragnaros can reach most of the curses with his trait, right?
Yeah, he can reach all of them on your side from your forts, but if they spawn on the opponent's side, he is unable to reach them.
Other than that, I would probably focus on globals.
Yep, and we do see the ETC ban coming out from early Bedtime here. Just, again, probably one of the best tanks right now.
Yeah, looks like we're going to just limit the tank pool here. No globals picked up yet. Lucio is, on any large map, his speed boost is tremendous. Helps the team out a lot.
Yeah,
he can hesitation.
He can basically be replace a global hero, just able to help your entire team make it all the way across the map, to get to those tributes much faster. And then we have the Malfurion picked up here first for early Bedtime Fogeys. That is a little bit interesting. Not willing to have the Malfurion banned out. So both teams locking in their supports early here.
And I think that's pretty much a staple recently, is that at least in our drafts, the healers seem to get picked in the first half of the draft always, because it seems like Lucio and Malf are like in that S tier or whatever you want to call it. And I mean, sometimes you get a Rhaegar or something if you build a team around auto attack, but you usually see Lucio and Malf in these games. Brightwing on Cursed Hollow wouldn't be bad either, but I don't see either team picking on him at this rate. Or her, I guess.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. And then we have the Ragnaros pickup here from early Bedtime Fogeys. You were talking about it earlier. One of the really high prioritized picks here on Cursed Hollow, able to use his Molten Core to interrupt the curse, and just help out in a team fight tremendously. And then we have
everyone cluttered up for Smash too, as well. Yeah. No, yep. But the Arthas pickup I find interesting this early, because you don't know entirely what the enemy team's gonna go, but he does have tremendous slows roots, and if you have the follow-up for it, it's definitely worth picking up.
Yep, and I think the Lucio pair-up with Arthas is going to be really good here. Able to speed boost him in while slowing the enemy team is going to be great. And then you have
the cake.
And then you have Raynor being able to pick up that Executioner at 16, just gonna have so many people to melt. I do really like...
DPS is just like a straight line going up, so as long as he focuses, he's just going to do more and more damage throughout, and you really got to worry about that.
Yep, I do like the Jaina ban here out of early bedtime Fogeys. Jaina with the Arthas, the slows, and the lockdown is just insane right now. Being able to keep people inside of that blizzard is huge. And then the Johanna ban, you want to talk about that for a little bit?
I find this Johanna ban interesting, especially when you look at it in conjunction with the Artanis ban, because those are both anti-auto attack heroes, or tanks rather, and that leads me to believe that they're going to pick up more auto attack here. I don't know if they were going to like a Vala or maybe even something like a Greymane, but I don't see any other reason to ban out a second tank here, unless they're just not worried about any damage that early bedtime can throw out.
Yeah, I mean, they were probably a little worried about the Johanna hard countering Raynor, and just really limiting the damage that he can put out with that blind, as well as just being able to soak up all of that damage, and forcing them to take the Muradin, which Muradin is a great hero still, just a really solid beefy tank, but just trying to limit the auto attack tanks they were able to pick. And then we have a quick Anub and Kel'Thas picked up by Arthritic Abathurs, and then Tychus as the last pick from early
not
bedtime.
Much hesitation at all in any of the picks on the side of Arthritic Abathur here. So we do have the double tank come out, and he's probably gonna focus on Gul'dan as the the anti-mage tank here, and then Kel'Thas just a solid poking hero, which is important on this map. It's all about being able to take the curse.
Yep. So who would you have to give the draft to here?
Ooh, I think if we're looking at a level 1 fight, I would give it to the side of early bedtime, just because they do have more damage heroes. From a traditional perspective, I would have to give it to early bedtime overall, because I'm not sure how well Arthas and Anub'arak synergize. I haven't seen that before. I'm a little hesitant to say they'll have enough damage, because Lucio doesn't put out much, but I'm very curious to see how this will work.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think the drafts are pretty fair, but going about it completely differently. Well, let's go ahead and get into the game here. On the side of Arthritic Abathurs, we are going to have Daz playing that Arthas, Belcream on the Lucio, Fatty on the Kel'Thas, Black Magic on the Anub'arak, and Night Knight playing that Raynor.
And on the side of early bedtime Fogeys, we have MB5K on the Gul'dan, Vega Swizzle on Malfurion, Dank Sinatra on Ragnaros, Funky Entropy on Tychus, and Flywalker on the Muradin.
It looks like both teams are going to go ahead and head to this mid lane, maybe get an early fight here.
Going for the esports.
Or just the dance.
Kel'Thas not picking his level 1 talent yet. Usually in the beginning here you go for confection stacks because you have this esports, but
get a little banter back and forth between the teams. Yeah,
playing the mind games.
Yeah, we still have that Malfurion holding his talent too. I'm a little bit surprised about that. I'm not sure what would lead him to.
There are certain times where you wait on an enemy hero to pick a talent, but between Malf and KT, I don't think that is a reason to.
I completely agree. I would like to see Scouting Drone come out of Malfurion personally, and then pick up the Convection out of Kel'Thas.
On KT, which is interesting now that he was laning against Ragnaros in the bottom here, because usually you would have him in the middle, and maybe you'd have the Raynor solo lane.
Yep, I would agree with that.
He still hasn't picked up a level 1 talent.
Yep, that leads me to believe that he won't be going Convection.
Because he has been landing a few from what I've seen, so.
But he does pick it up just a little bit late. probably missing out on 1 or 2 stacks.
I guess as long as he stays alive, it could work out. We do
Yeah.
have a Nubarak against Tychus at the top, which is going to be a very interesting matchup because, you know, he's the anti-mage tank now, and Tychus can shred him.
Yeah, Lucio getting very low from that Gul'dan here mid lane. Able to get out with his speed boost, though.
Kael'thas is slowly whittling Ragnaros down. It's not a matchup that you see very often, but he seems to be doing pretty well.
Yep, just sit there and throw those free bombs onto him, and he's not much he can do.
He is going back to sip right now. Get that mana back up while Ragnaros is sitting at full mana.
Good roots zoning Arthas out from his base here. Able to get a little bit of damage onto him, but nothing that's gonna do too much.
Lucio did do a good job of circumventing and sliding around that route there. That would have been a lot worse if he had gotten caught in that.
Yep, and we do see the first tribute spawning top here. Immediately, Ragnaros and Kael'thas will start to head up, as do the rest of the teams. Oh no, a big root coming down onto Arthas, able to pick up that kill there.
They catch him on the rotation.
Yep, and this should be an easy tribute for early Bedtime Fogeys to be able to pick up. But Arthritic Abathurs
already splitting back to mid.
Yep,
Looks like he's giving it up.
Muradin taking a little bit of damage here, but able to back out and third wind up. Shouldn't be a problem. And just that early.
The right call.
I completely agree. Just that early pickoff from Arthas really set you back. Needing to back out of it. There just wasn't much you could do there.
Yeah, it looks like they just went up in that bush and rooted him, ganked him. Looks like Anubis getting caught out here as well on the exact same position, but he's able to burrow out.
Unfortunately, they only had a Malfurion and a Murid in there to try to catch him, so not much damage able to come out there.
Not the highest damage from the King of Dwarves, no.
Nope. But we do see Arthritic Abathurs getting a little bit smarter, having that Kael'thas stay in the mid lane against the most heroes. Rotate Raynor to the top against Tychus, who should be able to win that lane. And then we got Arthas down in the bottom against Ragnaros, which I would expect Ragnaros to win that, but we'll have to see how that goes.
KT rotating down. Looks like they're going for a gank on the Ragnaros here in the bottom lane. Got the lift.
Oh, they got it.
Secure it.
Great rotation by KT there. And thank you, Shenanigans, for the host, and welcome everyone joining us from his channel.
Hard engage here from Nubarak.
Yep, and a little bit too hard. He is gonna go down. Just that damage output from Tychus and Gul'dan, able to pick that up.
And here's what I was talking about. They had an excellent engage, and they were able to catch Ragnaros out early, but Raynor wasn't there yet, so the only damage they were able to rely on is KT, who does get picked off here.
Yep, Malf able to chase him down, getting a good roots under him to hold him in position for that Moonfire, and able to pick up the kill and reset his stacks, most importantly.
Yep, and we have early Bedtime splitting to lanes here. 2 up on the first.
Yep, and I would just like to see Arthritic Abathurs try to play a little bit more careful here, especially right before the tribute spawning, because they've really been putting themselves in a bad position, getting those early pickoffs just before the tribute spawns.
And they did get Ragnaros before that engagement, but they weren't able to capitalize on it. If they'd waited just a bit longer for that Raynor to get there, they would have gotten a lot more value out of that hard engage, and possibly gotten a kill or 2 out of it.
Yep, and it looks like they're setting up another gank onto Ragnaros with 3 members up here. Oh, that Lucio push, knocking him out of the gravity lapse of Kael'thas, though. So Ragnaros is able to get out of there alive. Now we got the counter rotation of Tychus and Muradin jumping onto that Kael'thas. It looks like he's gonna go down.
Ragnaros comes back out.
Yep, Malfurion getting a little bit too aggressive there, trying to get those roots down.
We do have numbers on the side of Arthritic Abathurs on this tribute.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Gul'dan can interrupt, and he does get it with that corruption, allowing his team to rotate back down. And Ragnaros should be able to pick up this kill on Tychus or Raynor. Yep, Gul'dan actually takes it.
Tychus rolls back, picks up the tribute, and we have a curse on the side of early bedtime.
Yep, great stun by Muradin there onto that Anub'arak as well, but unable to secure the kill right in front of that wall. It looks like they are going to prioritize this bottom lane pushing here while they have Malfurion splitting. Not sure how I feel about that choice, but...
Given how low this Arthas is, it could turn out very interesting, but that mouth is he can't do anything.
Yeah, he's just there for the soak right now. I would like to see him go up and soak mid lane as well, trying to get a little bit more advantage from this, if they're not going to try to push and force an engagement here.
And they do have 10 advantage, so they have every right to.
Yep. Kael'thas just throwing out a bunch of damage, forcing that Tychus to retreat. Ooh, Anub'arak narrowly missing his stun onto Gul'dan there. A good
back mid.
Yep, all around a good curse by early bedtime, able to pick up a 2-level lead here while getting 3 forts down.
Yeah, interestingly enough, Malfurion beats Arthas. When Arthas has no health.
I do like the call from Arthritic Abathurs here to go ahead and head straight for their bruiser. Trying to get some map presence.
We have early bedtime picking up their camps as well. And Arthritic Abathurs is going straight for boss.
This is a little bit dangerous. I guess they... Well, now that you see him picking up the siege camp, it's not, but... Not seeing them anywhere on the map, I guess you would tend to lead you towards thinking they're at their boss. But that wasn't quite the case. But safe anyways. And then we see early bedtime just noticing that they're not on the map either. And recognizing they're probably at boss and just going and picking up theirs safely.
Yeah, so classic boss trade. Looks like we're gonna get an engage in the mid here. Looks like early bedtimes or no, not. Oh,
they're setting up the gank for the rotate up to boss.
And I think Abathurs did not sniff that out.
Not
great
at all.
Gul'dan, but also a great shield from Lucio.
Yep, but Arthas is a little bit too deep, and so is Anub'arak. Arthas falls, Anub'arak is going to get out, barely. That was a great engagement setup. I think a little bit mistimed route by Malfurion. I would have liked to see that get directly under that Kael'thas, to just hold him there so they could get their damage out.
It was a great ult from Lucio to save his team. Could have been a lot more deaths inside of Arthritic Abathurs, but instead they just traded out straight.
Yeah, Kael'thas was actually dying to corruption when that shield came out.
Not sure how I feel about Anub'arak going over to this tribute, though.
No, I think he needs to get in that bush and hearth immediately, because he is going to die.
He's going.
Especially since they notice.
From Malf, expecting that burrow.
Yep.
That was not the best call.
No, I do not. Actually, I don't know if that was a very good trade for early bedtime. They let that boss push bottom lane and get half damage onto their fort or keep wall, whereas their boss in top lane that didn't have to go through a fort only got the front wall of that keep.
Considering that those towers have no shots, if Arthritic Abathurs was able to go down here and secure this wall, it would definitely be in their favor. But they're going to opt to push back this mid lane, which is pushed up pretty far, and probably going to try and close this experience gap. Sitting at about a level right now in the favor of early bedtime.
Yep, they were able to pick up that 13 talent, though, so they are fighting on the same talent tier. So I'd like to see them try to get an engagement before early bedtime is able to hit level 16 and get that talent advantage back.
Especially if they try and gank somebody right now, because early bedtime is split all over the map.
Yeah, they're just split, trying to soak to that 16 as much as possible to maintain their advantage and lead there.
Looks like they're going for an invade on the siege.
Murden is going to get caught
Murden
out. Let's
caught
see if they're
out.
able to do
Leaps
anything.
out.
Oh, not quite enough follow-up. Great fear forcing KT
Gul'dan might go
right
down
into
here.
that.
He's getting auto-attacked by Nubarak, and Tyka's low as well. Is the bomb going to finish him off? Looks like he's not.
Barely getting out. We do have Ragnaros coming in late, though. I'm not sure how I feel about that. Dropping his Sulfurous Smash, unable to secure any kills.
And it looks like Arthritic Abathurs, as a result of this, will be able to pick up their first tribute of the game.
Yep, I did really like that play. Sitting in that bush, waiting for them to come in and check it.
They're going to want to go back and save this Arthas, though. There's Lucio.
Yep, and then we got the Anubarak just picking up that
Lord.
tribute.
And I would expect them to just play it safe here now, maybe pick up their Bruiser. Yep, looks like they've already pinged it. Early Bedtime picking up that siege where we had that initial engagement. And once again, it looks like Arthritic Abathurs is trying to close that level bit.
Yeah, I'm surprised after that last engagement that they're not caught up anymore. They're a level and a half down at this point still. Early Bedtime able to pick up that level 16 talent. So they should be looking for a full-out fight here with their advantage.
I would expect them to clear out this camp mid and then look for the engagement, which this tribute will give to them.
Yep, and then we have 20 seconds on boss here right next to the tribute, so that'll be very interesting to see how it plays out.
Arthritic Abathurs might be better off just giving up this tribute, clearing mid, getting experience, and fighting on even talents.
But they're going to have Kel'Thas face check a bush and walk right in and get blown up. Oh my god, spreading those bombs so grouped up. That Anubarak able to keep them all in place.
And Ragnaros was cocooned, he comes out.
Yeah, Anubarak getting very, very low. I'd like to see them just all chase here. Even hesitate on that tribute. Oh,
here we have
the Molten Core. This should be it. Able to get the 3-man stun, get that follow-up damage from Gul'dan.
Possibly 2.
There's the double kill. All 5 members of Arthritic Abathurs falling there. Great Molten Core by Ragnaros.
It looks like Early Bedtime's gonna rotate to mid here and go for the keep.
Yeah, I do like this call. Get on that keep right away, and they're actually thinking differently. I would have liked to see them. Yeah, I would have liked to see them go and force the fight on that keep when they had so many minions up, though, and then maybe rotate back and take their boss. But they're gonna elect to steal the enemy team boss here. On Arthritic Abathur's side.
Whether or not this boss is able to secure a keep by itself, because if it can, then kudos. But it looks like Early Bedtime is not going to push with the boss. They're just going to opt to take their own and force Arthritic Abathurs back on the defensive.
Yep, and this is the snowball effect on this map that we were pointing out before. Ooh, I would have liked to see them ignore the tribute, which they are doing now, and just going for that boss. Yeah, I like this call. They're not threatening a tribute here by giving this, or a curse here by giving this tribute up. So I really like this call.
Yep, just grab the boss, fight over the next one.
Yep, and I would like to see them.
The majority of these engagements, so.
Yeah, and I'd like to see them clean up this top lane and push with boss, trying to help it secure that top keep.
Murder's going for the vision. And we do see Arthritic Abathurs split trying to push back lanes. They aren't even talent, so this is Arthritic Abathurs' best opportunity to come back. But they do have this boss to worry about.
Yeah, they really need to wait until they are under the keep to engage this. Early Odin being popped.
You see Phoenix zone out the team from Kel'Thas.
No one really committing to this engagement yet, other than the Tychus Odin.
Lucy getting rooted but getting out.
Yeah, it's a little interesting to see Malfurion out in the front lines, for early bedtime here. Muradin just sitting in the
Yeah,
back.
you have to sit at the silences, and Anubrak
Oh,
is
that
way too
Anubrak
deep.
getting absolutely blown up.
If you see the enemy team backing out like that, and they still have a boss pushing, you just gotta down the boss and try to pick it up from there.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think that they were quite on the same page with each other. Anubrak diving deep to try to keep that engagement happening while their DPS was still trying to clean up that boss was a mistake.
We will see the second curse go over to early bedtime Fogeys as a result of this. And hopefully they'll push and get another keep or two. Looks like they're
Yeah,
all converging on mid here. Anubrak's up in 15 seconds.
yep, I do like that call. Head straight for mid. I would even want to try to force an engagement here with Anubrak still being down. Have this Muradin get a little more aggressive. He is sitting...
There.
I think this Muradin is playing way too passive, sitting in the back line, allowing his other members, squishier members of his team, to tank the damage.
And they do rotate bottom to grab that keep as well.
Oh, that was a great Cindagrosa by Arthas, being able to secure a slow on all members of the team. Tyke is getting extremely low from that KT, but so is Lucio. And that Fear is going to pick up 2 kills for them. So Fear Smash whiffing by that Ragnaros, Muradin able to back out and third wind up. And this is going to be a...
and Muradin getting low in that engagement, but neither of them being focused down by Arthritic Abathurs.
Yeah, they're just too split on their damage. And this should be all 3 keeps picked up. I would even like to see him force the engagement here, have Ragnaros go in Molten Core, but it looks like they're going to be content just backing out and taking camps here.
Yeah, it looks like they're content to let other lanes push up and let Arthritic Abathurs deal with it.
This is a safe play, although this Gul'dan is not playing very safe. He is going to go down. Great catch out by Kalthas and Raynor there. Good lift.
That was pushed up so far. They should be able to close this gap a bit. If they can hold out to 20, they might have a chance here.
Yeah,
especially
and
when they're early bedtime is trying to engage 4v5 because they are not leaving.
Yeah, this Muradin is fully backing out. That is really interesting. I would like to see this Muradin play a little more aggressively and stay with his team a little bit longer, making sure that everyone is able to safely get out.
It's like you guys always say, right? The tank should die the most. If you're not dying as a tank, you're not doing your job.
That's right.
That's right. Looks like just more siege and bruiser pressure coming up from the side of early bedtime.
Yeah, I'm really a fan of this. Just getting all that map pressure with all catapults in all lanes is going to be very hard to deal with for Arthritic Abathurs. And it could even help them force engagements.
They should be able to pick up the level 20 here before the next hard engagement, though. But we do see early bedtime posturing for boss, or maybe baiting it.
Nope, it looks like they're going to circle around onto this Arthas, and they are whiffed by Muradin. Able to get the leap stun, though. Able to keep him in place long enough for his team to collapse. And it looks like they are going to try to force the issue here on core. Go for another pick and maybe even the win. Good stun by Muradin onto that Raynor. But a great shield by Lucio, able to keep all members of his team alive there.
We do see Rag on his trait, just throwing up so much damage.
Oh, that Sulfurous Smash, securing the Kel'Thas and the Lucio kill.
And we see the core going down.
Yep, this looks like it's gonna be game. That Odin, along with the catapults, is just dealing too much damage. Great game by both teams, but early bedtime Fogeys is able to take it this best of 1 series. Just too much map pressure and good pickoffs before tributes was really what gave them the win here.
Yeah, those early pickoffs, and I think they just overall had better focus, maybe better communication. There was a few times where it seemed like the Anubrak and the Arthas just had different ideas about what was happening, what the priority was. If you're gonna put all of your DPS onto 2 heroes, you have to make sure you guys are hitting the same targets.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when you're getting, yeah, you're having two or double tanking there. So it limits your DPS to just that Rainer and Kalthas, and they just were not syncing up, attacking, not able to attack the same hero, and blow him up. It's really what their downfall was. Just
I mean,
better
it's really
focus.
up to KT to throw out the initial damage because he gets the bombs, he gets the flame strikes out, and then he's got a little bit of a cooldown before he can do something, and that's up to Raynor to pick up the pieces there with the auto attack. It seems like they were just hitting different people.
Yeah. So who would you have to give the MVP here to, Marvin?
Oh, I would have to. I'd almost have to give it to Malfurion. I think that he had probably had some great silences. It seemed like he was there for, or maybe even calling out a lot of these engages and ganks. I mean, we saw that one that didn't really end in anything, but it was Malf and Muradin. And from the way Muradin was playing, it didn't seem like he was all that willing to be super aggressive. So I'm going to go ahead and give it to Malfurion.
Yeah, I would actually agree with you here. Despite the amount of damage that Gul'dan was able to throw out, that Malfurion was really being the aggressor for his team, standing in that front line, getting down those routes to secure the kills, and dropping the silences when they were necessary. I didn't see a bad silence that entire game, so well done by Malfurion, and props for keeping his team alive, only having 5 deaths in the whole game.
Yeah, I do have to give some credit to Lucio as well. There was quite a few times where it seemed like Arthritic Abathurs was getting caught out, and he just threw down his AoE shield there, and it seemed to save quite a few people.
Yeah,
So
no,
definitely well played by him as well.
absolutely. I saw him save Kalthas at least 2 or 3 times throughout that game, let alone the other members of his team, just from that corruption, those corruption stacks.
Yeah, if you have double tank, there's no reason for DPS to be face checking a bush. There's never a reason for DPS to be face checking a bush, but
Yeah,
less than no reason in that case.
I have to completely agree. That's something that we're at fault on still, a lot, but you really got to have those tanks check it, and you don't even want tanks to face check bush. You never know what you're walking into. Always try to throw an ability in there
Yeah,
before
you gotta
walking
skill
in.
check the bush.
Yeah, having that Arthas throw out a root, maybe your Nubarak throw out a stun into that bush. You could
Or
even
at least
have
you could throw
Raynor
on
throw out
a
a Q,
yep.
or Kalthas put a flame strike under it. Just anything you have to just get vision, figure out where the enemy team is before the engagement happens, is huge. But again, good job to both teams. That unfortunately that is all that we have for you tonight. Just a best of one series here. Going to early bedtime Fogeys, on their own map pick of Cursed Hollow. Very well played by both teams. I think just a lack of focus from Arthritic Abathurs was really the downfall, and getting picked off prior to those tributes. So thank you guys for joining us. If you liked what you saw, feel free to give us a follow. All of these VODs from tonight's cast will be posted to our YouTube channel. The link can be found below, or just search for Heroes of the Frat in YouTube and you will be able to find them. And feel free to give us a sub on YouTube as well. Thank you guys so much for your support. And if you want us to cast any games in the future, just request us on Chair League, or just give me a message in game or on the stream, and we will be glad to cast your game. So thank you guys again.